as an average across Australia and New Zealand, taking into consideration small organizations and very large ones, how many software are part of their tech stack just for the customer engagement bit? It's 25 different software owned by each organization in Australia as an average.
Yeah.
To just cover the customer engagement.
Oh, okay,
journey.
right. Yeah.
If you think about it,
Welcome to Under the Hood.
To another edition of Under the Hood, the podcast for you if you're in marketing or indeed if you're in sales, where we bring you the latest tech, the tools and the trends that help you work just that little bit smarter, as we all try and do in this world of AI with everything changing. We go to bed one night, we wake up the next day, the whole world's a bit different. So how can we be a bit smarter? And this is the podcast for you if you're kind of waking up and thinking, what's happened overnight? My name's Tony Eades, Chief Strategy Officer for Sorted Stone. And it's a pleasure to be with you again for another edition of Under the Hood. Also over the other side, normally on the other side of the table, but we're in a slightly different environment because we have a physical, real person guest in the room, is Mel.
Hi, seems like you can't get rid of me. Here for one episode, stay for the season.
That's it. And Mel, of course, is our regional director, APAC. If you haven't already noticed, because she's been on a few episodes, you might have missed a few, but we'll tell you at the end how you can possibly catch up. Now, our special guest, all the way from a long Uber drive from Manly. It's terrible weather and traffic today, but he's made it in, and he's super excited, hopefully, to give us all his insights, is the wonderful Fabio Pancaldi. He's the Senior Director of Partnerships and Alliances for JAPAC at HubSpot, and he's here in the room. Hi, Fabio.
Hey Tony, how are you? It's been like quite a challenge to come here, like 2 hours and a half. Didn't expect that, but I'm so glad that I'm here with you guys. Very excited about this episode and talking about the trends that we've seen in the market.
Awesome, and a little bit of your background.
As you may expect from my accent, I'm not originally from Australia. Originally from Italy, moved to Australia 10 years ago. I was with Google at the time, and was like 1 year assignment, and then became 2, and then became 3, and then we decided to stay here permanently, and we are now citizens. Spent 20 years in sales across different organizations, mostly in SaaS, and I joined HubSpot in 2021, leading the rap market motion for Australia and New Zealand, and in 2024, I started leading the channel program for HubSpot across JAPAC.
Awesome. Well, great to have you on, and sounds like you joined around the COVID time, so that would have been an interesting onboarding to HubSpot.
Very, very interesting. How establish trust and collaboration. Yeah. While joining an organization remotely has been a challenge.
Yeah, I think a lot of people went through that, but luckily, hopefully, that's behind us. Today's episode of Under the Hood is future-proofing marketing technology trends that you really can't ignore. So that's why you're here. We're going to make sure that you don't ignore them. Please pay attention as we go through a bunch of those. Now, we're going to start off actually with a bit of research that HubSpot's done, led by Fabio, in terms of growth and how it's become a bit harder. Maybe give us a background about what your team actually went through to actually come up with the findings we're going to talk about.
100%. We started this research 12 months ago. And we went through and interviewed organizations across Australia and New Zealand, both customers and non-customers, to understand what they were seeing in the market. And it was pretty shocking to see that independently from their size or the industry they worked in, they were all witnessing the same 3 major trends. And when we dig deeper, basically, they told us that those trends have been there and evolved very rapidly in the past 12 months. So the first one they noticed was the fact that customers' expectations have changed and evolved rapidly, probably led by their consumer experience, dealing with the likes of Amazon, the likes of Netflix. basically buyers were expecting the same level of engagement in their professional lives. And that has changed. So hyper-personalization, they were expecting really to have messages that were targeted and tailored for their needs. So that was the first trend.
So similar to that, just to unpack that a little bit. So when you say Netflix, that's a good kind of combination to kind of compare Netflix in our personal life versus that experience in our professional life. So they wanted that experience to be as easy and as intuitive as sitting back on the couch with, a glass of wine in your hand type of thing.
Yeah, even more so. No, I don't know if you noticed, but when I look at movies with my account, the graphics of the movie I'm looking at present actors that are aligned with my taste. So the same movie, when my wife look at it, has different actors in the graphics.
Right.
And because she likes more comedy, I like more action movies, and that's like that tailoring, no? And saying we both end up saying we would really like to see that movie, but for different reasons. And,
Is that really
an interesting one? Yeah.
It's that really successful, deeply rooted personalisation that's been woven into society now, and you don't even realise you're now being spoken to or tailored to or targeted. It just feels organic and natural.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it becomes an expectation, no?
Absolutely, yeah. It's something you notice when it's not there more than when it is.
Well, exactly. And this leads probably to the second trend, which is customer loyalty. Customers are becoming very impatient. No? If you are not able to provide that value to them, they may look around and choose someone else. Probably we all have experienced it. You know,
we could name a few brands, but we weren't on this show where customer experience seems to have been out the door, with some of our telcos or even airlines.
Like when you call them and they don't know who you are, and despite you've been their customer for years, that's very disappointing. No? And,
you know what it is? I think when I do call them and you get through after pressing numbers or voice activation or whatever it is, and you finally get through and they say, we're attending to other customers at the moment, and you think, more important than me.
Exactly. Well, imagine the voice activation from an Italian.
And everything's
it's getting better, though.
AI is improving in that sense if they are using it.
So that's the first one.
Yeah.
The second one is about the appetite they have in engaging in large transformations or strategic change in the way they work. No, it can be a production plan, can be a logistic, can be a software. So they don't want to do that. They are focusing more on more tactical initiatives, more like a keeping the lights on type of approach. No? Right. And so their customers, looking at that, the spend that way. And the third one is really about the competition and competitors, new competitors that are entering in their markets, and their markets being flooded with new organizations that have never played in that space, and now they're playing. Probably fueled by AI technology, but definitely a trend that they all witnessed.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the basic, the foundation of that findings, and we went a little bit deeper and trying to understand. And so what? What happens because of that? And it's interesting because we've seen a very divergent reaction from those organizations. Some of them, they were able to grow even faster, and speed up their growth. Others flatline and potentially even decrease, their penetration in the market. And there was not much in the middle. It was very
one or the other.
Right. And it was interesting to see that. And then we went into, what differentiates the first ones from the second ones? Huh? And again, it was interesting to see that apart from some differences, there were three significant commonalities among the organizations that were not able to accelerate their growth. No? And the first one was around data and the fact that they couldn't really use the data they were collecting to drive decisions, to get insights. No? And data was fragmented, scattered, not updated.
Yeah,
they had 7 records of the same customer,
which is crazy, right, Fabio? In this modern day and age, where we've been talking for years and years about data, like how you need to make sure it's clean and it's usable, and you react upon it, right? And there's still plenty of people, probably even watching this show, where they've got different pockets of it sitting in different places, not integrated, not talking to each other.
Exactly, and that's poses a problem even deeper. No, apart from the fact that you're not able to get those insights you need, you believe you have that information, and you don't. So like that obviously is impacting the strategic decisions that organizations are making. Even more so, are you keeping that data safe?
Yeah.
Are you able to keep it protected and respecting all the requirements from the law? So that's definitely one issue they were facing. Issue number 2 is that the solutions they were using were slow to adapt and change. And we have seen the market coming up with new opportunities and risk now on a daily basis. And having a solution that's supporting you, or solutions that support you, that take ages to adapt and to allow you to respond to that opportunity, is obviously a detractor, and you're not able to really get the outcomes that you want from that. What the market is posing you.
Do you believe it's like we've often talked about, not just data, but also real time data? Yeah. Like if you're not getting the data right now and you get it a week later, or you even look at it weeks later, you've kind of missed that opportunity to act upon it.
100%. Somebody else is getting that opportunity and is there in the market for 2 weeks before you. So that's a big loss. Even more than that, if your software hasn't updated in following your change at go-to-market, then what happens? You're still let's say that you were tracking the color of the eyes of your customers. Silly thing, And now you're changing into the color of the hair. But your software is still tracking the color of the eyes. That's a problem, because you don't have that information. And this drives trend number 3, which was we call them, by the way, growth leaks.
Right. I like how you put that together in the report.
And the third one is user adoption. So you provide technology to your marketers and sellers, but do they really use it? And it's shocking. I have 2 stats for you. First one is that what is the average adoption across the world of CRM solutions?
As a percentage?
As a percentage,
I was shocked to see this stat. This just blew my mind, because if you think about the cost of a business to implement and maintain a CRM, I couldn't believe the stat, and I'm not going to steal your thunder.
Okay. Well, I haven't. I've seen the notes, but I haven't actually. So I'm just going to guess. I'm going to say, if you've invested money in your CRM for your team, and you've done the training and the onboarding, although that could be part of what you're going to say that they haven't. They've just switched it on and hope for the best.
Exactly.
You'd hope it's at least 50% of your team are using it, if not more.
It's less. It's a little bit less than 50%.
Yeah.
HubSpot, we're very proud to have 89% average adoption. But if you think about 50%, it says that 1 person out of 2 that you identified as needing the solution, not using that solution.
Yeah.
Meaning that they're using something else to do their
job. Or they're guessing.
Or not using it.
They're not making an informed decision at all.
At all. And you don't get that data, because the information they're developing is sitting somewhere else.
Yeah.
So going back now, the speed to change solutions, the adoption of the solution, and the fact that you can actually get a sense of the data that you're collecting are the main difference between organizations that are able to accelerate their growth in this market dynamics and organizations that are not. And that informed a little bit our approach as well. We really believe that a solution that supports an organization in their customer engagement should have unified data, should be fast to adapt and follow those new opportunities, and should be easy to use. It's no more. We're not targeting ERP users. I come from that background, and I think that was easy. ERP users, they need to use that solution, software solution, to do their day-to-day job. You cannot put in production something without putting some. And this is why ERPs, some of them are still black screen with green fonts. That's really that's
let's not go back
my age a little bit. But CRM users, who are they? They're marketers and sellers.
But I think it's customer relationship management, right? That's what CRM stands for. So that's the basic thing that every business needs to do. Otherwise, you lose customers. It becomes a leaky bucket. You don't engage and with the experience of the customers you currently got. So ultimately, then you engage them, and you're not attracting them against your competitors because you're not giving them that upfront experience and knowledge and education that they need to make a buying decision. So all of those things drop if your CRM isn't humming. Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
100%. And so that's the blocker. Like this was kind of the results of the experience. And interesting, like Gartner actually validated those findings from a global standpoint. No, organizations that are able to target their customers with a customized message, they have 2.5 the probability of keeping those customers, retain those customers, a customer of theirs, compared to organizations that are not able to do that.
Yeah.
And they have 50% more upsell opportunity in terms of revenue getting from that relationship. It's kind of like what we were talking about and seeing in Australia and New Zealand, but like at a global scale.
Yeah, personalisation offers, I guess you look at the rise of the millennials and the Gen Zs, more than ever they're target markets that are looking for authentic conversations with brands and businesses they interact with, and that level of personalisation makes the conversation feel authentic, personalised to them, really targeted. It's not some generic kind of blanket approach.
100%. As an early millennial, like 5 years early, I kind of agree more. Yes, it's very important, no? And that's expectations. That is coming.
Well, as a Gen X, I've got no idea what they're talking about.
I'm a Gen X as well. But I define myself as early millennial.
Yeah, actually, that's good. I might use that one.
You can be millennial plus.
I'm an early millennial.
Exactly.
A millennial plus. We'll create a new category.
No, that's the other way. No, I like his. Like we just did a branding exercise for a client where they had a product that sat between this premium product and the next product up. So we had to decide: is it light? Like, is it the one above? Like, you know, when you travel on an airline, is it business light or is it premium plus? So it's the same thing. Am I millennial light?
You're an early millennial, absolutely.
Millennial light, yes.
Yeah, so to wrap up those three, the visibility link is what you that you were saying, adoption leak, and then this speed issue. Just pulling on that thread again around speed, because it's this constant, I don't know, push and pull between, you know, the marketing team, the sales team, the service team, and then the customer that just wants everything yesterday. Have you kind of found that, whether it's with this study or just in your own environment, kind of working, that journey has decreased? Like, people come to you, they've got a need, they need it solved, and somehow that journey is like reduced from a reasonable amount of time. I mean, we've got one now that we're working with HubSpot on, where they want to be up and running with things like a microsite and a whole bunch of things by next month. There's ways to do it, of course, but it really pushes the boundaries of traditional process.
100%. And so again, like, technology may come to help, but then we're talking about people and adoption. So I think, like, we shouldn't be forgetting the change management. And as we said, no, like saying, hey, here is the software, please use it. It doesn't work, no, because you really need to bring those people with you in that journey.
Yeah, we'll edit that bit out.
Okay. So.
That's really interesting, and I think, you know, it probably comes back, I would say, if I'm right, that to your two areas of businesses. One that is flatlined is probably going to be more reactive than proactive, right? Because they're not using the data, they're not making the decisions ahead of time. So if they're reactive, these are probably the people that are saying, we need it done, and we need it done yesterday. Whereas the proactive ones will be able to see what they need to do. They'll be able to see the trends that are happening and then plan for it.
100%. 100%. And that planning is key. The other element is that probably during COVID, we went all into software. I remember that
very quickly.
Absolutely.
Very nice time to be in software sales, because everyone was buying everything. Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
I think that was our busiest year ever, when you know, it really sorted things out, didn't it? You were forced to use Zoom. People that were technophobes had to use Zoom, or they couldn't communicate.
Correct. Yeah. And this brought, like, a lot of software and different software within every organization. I have another stat for you.
Okay. You know, the guys know I love stats.
We do.
Okay. That's
I'm happy when our guests bring the stats.
Okay, it surprised me. Like, it cannot be right. I had to read it 3 times and ask to validate it.
Yeah.
As an average across Australia and New Zealand, taking into consideration small organizations and very large ones, how many software are part of their tech stack just for the customer engagement bit?
How many as a number?
As many as a number, as an average.
As out there now in the market?
Yes.
I'm going to say it's on the higher end based on what we've
Well, that's
seen.
not committing you very much, is it?
What we've seen from our clients and a lot of businesses just overcommit to wanting a piece of software to do like individual little microscopic things. So I'm going to say at least 10.
Okay.
Yeah. I was actually going to say around 7,000, only because I saw a stat that said, but that was of stuff that's released in probably the last 12 months, 2 years. So I'm probably way off the mark.
It's 25 different software owned by each organization in Australia as an average.
Yeah.
To just cover the customer engagement.
Oh, okay,
Wow.
right. Yeah.
If you think about it, that's shocking because it means that you need to coordinate all of them, keep them together, connect them. So if you are able to move from that situation to a situation of 3.
Yeah. So you're talking about a CRM total product,
plus,
yeah?
CRM plus, no? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a CRM
Not
plus
just
something.
not just an AI tool or something that does part of it.
The AI, if external, would be considered a separate solution.
Okay, cool.
No?
Yeah.
So 25.
So 25. So how does a company analyze? Because a CRM is the lifeblood of their business, as we were just saying. So if you make the wrong decision and you put all your eggs in one basket, there's 24 others you could have gone with. It's almost like a lottery.
Yeah, exactly. It is very difficult to get that. And it's very difficult to keep everything aligned. No? So the point is simplification is key. No? And so if you are strategic in your approach, as you were saying, no? Those proactive organization, then they find themselves in a situation that is planned.
Yeah.
People that are rushing through it, they want it yesterday, is just because they're reacting, and they probably have several other solutions that are there sitting and not probably fully leveraged.
Or alternatively, you just choose HubSpot. And then the problem's solved, right? You don't have to worry about the other 24 others.
I'm biased, yes.
Okay, well, I'm wearing the T-shirt, Fabio. You've come incognito.
I have the color. Actually, like I was trying to find, funny story. We may cut this later, but I was trying to find an orange T-shirt, and I went to Myers and say, I need an orange T-shirt. And they go, no. I said, no, I really need an orange T-shirt. I said, no, orange is not a color this season.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, but my company.
It's not in season.
No, it's not the season. So the closest I could get is salmon. So here we go. I said, okay, well, I'll take salmon. But it was very disappointed. The person that I was talking to said, why do you want orange? I said, like, don't challenge me, please.
We do joke about the HubSpot T-shirts being very rare, and Tony's got a vintage.
A cupboard of them.
Yeah,
May get one
We'll talk on price afterwards. But funny enough, just quickly before we go into our next topic is, when we first came over to Sydney, we drove over with the family from Perth, Western Australia, right? It was a long drive. And we went through Orange, which is obviously in New South Wales. And there was a sign out the front of this menswear store saying, we're out of stock of suits in orange. And I just said to the kids, who would buy a suit in orange, like of orange colour? But they meant in orange, they weren't available. But
that's
I don't know if the kids laughed or not, but obviously,
maybe a bit young.
Yeah, maybe it was a dad joke a bit too early. Yeah. So let's move on. 7 shifts marketing and sales professionals can't ignore, which was the topic. We've set the scene, which is that great survey and why people need it. So let's have a look at these 7, which I think you really need to be part of, right? So AI native marketing takes center stage is our first one. 2025 is the year marketers stop testing AI and trusting it. Do you agree with that? Like we've been playing around. Like I think we were saying like 2023 or something. So the last at least 2 years, people have been dabbling in AI. So it's a time now to become more mature for organizations and like back something and use it.
Yes, 100%. I think it's like mainstream now, and you need to do that. Your competitors are doing it, and if you're not able to do it, then it takes just too long to get to the same outcome. Yeah, doesn't mean that you replace the intelligence with the artificial. Like you need to have both, but like at the same time, you need that support that allows you to do more in less time.
Absolutely. AI in 2025 has to be intelligent automation, adaptive experiences, and more importantly, measurable lift. As you were sort of alluding to, Tony, we've been playing and testing and kind of choosing what tools we want to be using as a business for the past couple of years. 2025's got to be the year of the commitment, right? And starting to provide ROI on some of these tools.
And it's not like the 7,000 or odd that I was talking about, or even, to be honest, the 200 new product releases from HubSpot. It's like we covered off just just 9 that people could start using. Like it's honing in, thinking about the strategic thinking like we were talking about before, and understanding what is it we need, where are the blocks where AI can help. Like we've often talked on this show about the sandwich, it's human, AI, human. So you're still having that human interaction around prompts and whatever it is, and then checking the work at the end of it, is super important. But I think there's a saying that goes that your job won't be replaced by AI, but your job may well be replaced by someone else using AI.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's important that we do. So HubSpot has some tools, as they always do. For the first one, AI native marketing, content assistant, ChatSpot, AI-powered workflows. Some of those are new. Some of those have been around there for a while. So have a look at that. The main impact for people is the fact that it's going to speed up campaign creation while increasing personalization. We mentioned that's a critical part. How do you personalize the experience without sacrificing the most important thing, brand voice?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
All right, next one. Intent, demographics, behavioral targeting 2.0. That sounds like a mouthful to me, so you guys can unpack that one, the millennials in the room.
I think as I'm a marketer, my background's in marketing. For years, we've been obsessed with who is a person. They've got to fit in a box. What age are they? What dogs do they like? What colours do they interact with? Where do they live? And finally, we're starting to move away from demographics as in who you are to what are they doing now. So you as a person, and this idea of intent and understanding a person's next move and what attracts them and what's going to convert them into your business. I think that's a really big one I've seen.
Yeah. Is that what we call psychographics?
Absolutely.
Psychographics.
It's probably more than that. It's really like what you and I could be considered the same target market because we both have the same intent, for instance, for APAC Salted Stone. Yeah.
Well, it comes back to what Fabio was saying about the Netflix experience, because I think just to reiterate, how is your business experience relate to Netflix? Like, are you giving them the Netflix experience?
Exactly. And the other element is really like what you care about is so more important than how old are you or where do you live. And that informs your behaviors. And this is basically what connects you with the person. And again, like you may be going into creating audiences that are very small, no? And
absolutely,
by very small can be in the one numbers, no?
Yeah. Well, it's fine if they're spending $1 million or $2 million a year, then and you can win them. But it does, it brings it down. How does? I mean, obviously HubSpot needs to do a fair bit of that. HubSpot is a product for. Pretty much there's a product for anybody from a starter or a startup right the way through to an enterprise organization. So personalization within HubSpot itself, from sales right the way through to marketing, must be an important element of the business.
Yes. It's what we're really focusing on is being able to really provide that support in doing that. No, and it goes, as you said at the beginning. No, it goes from marketing to sales to support. No, it has to be that flow of information that allows you really to be relevant when you engage with your customer. And it goes. The basic is when they call you, you know their name, but it goes way deeper than that. No, and understanding what they're doing, and then is a loop.
Yep.
Support should provide that loop back to marketing.
Absolutely. Sales, service and marketing. It's got to be the evolving constant flow.
Exactly. Yeah. And sometimes that is broken into so many parts and it's difficult to get that multiplier.
Absolutely.
And of course, some of the tools that are built into HubSpot to help you do that second one include custom behavioral events that are built in. Predictive lead scoring, one of our favorites, that's been around for a while, but it obviously has continued to evolve. But the idea that you don't just do lead scoring to be able to detect how engaged somebody is with your content, etc., but you can then do predictive lead scoring on above that, and then CRM powered segmentation. Sounds great, doesn't it? So if you're not on HubSpot, get in there and pull a few of those levers and see what happens. Content moves from campaign to creator driven. Mel, you can kick us off with that one. How do you think that in the market here in APAC in particularly, but obviously this is now going out globally, by the way, Fabio, so you're talking to an NA and an EMEA audience. But we can talk more closely to our region. So content moves from campaign to creator driven.
Yeah, absolutely. Gone are the days, I think, where you've got a marketing team singular creating the voice, the campaign, the look and feel, the program, the rise of, we call the B2B creator. So everyone has got a camera, has got the ability to shoot some content, has the ability to be, the face of the brand. We're seeing more and more on platforms like LinkedIn that people are becoming brand ambassadors for not only themselves but companies. So, yeah.
Yeah. Because it says here every brand needs a face in 2025.
Humanising the brand once again. Yeah.
So, Fabio, you're the face of...
we have much better faces. That's better. One of them.
Yeah.
But it is like that approach that really changes. No, we are active on LinkedIn. We are active in so many different platforms. And how can you get consistent in the way like you position your organization to the market, and how do you leverage that as well, no? To get that engagement right? And so definitely it's an opportunity that we could leverage and make sure that actually you differentiate yourself from others is as important. No, at the moment, AI-powered communications are multiplying, and our inbox are flooded with always the same message.
That's it, and it doesn't cut through, right?
It doesn't
you don't click on it.
I'm not
You
opening and
ignore
reading
it.
my emails anymore because it's always the same. And so how can you really engage in a way that allows triggers the person that you're targeting to open that message and read it?
I think 100% we have to be more creative with our content. Like, it's not about volume of content, it's about quality, it's about creativity, it's about getting that stuff, which is why I love AI and avatars. Because, as you said before, how do you actually start getting your employees? So Mel here is now having her avatar built as we speak. I got off the last podcast, I got Tyler to film her. Give me the 2-minute video that I need, so you'll be seeing an AI version of Mel coming out into your inboxes or wherever you're not expecting it. But have you done your avatar? Are you playing around in AI? Is there a Fabio.ai somewhere?
There is not a Fabio.ai, but I had a very interesting conversation about how we can adopt this technology in supporting our customers in the implementation journey. Yeah, implementing software in the old days, you interviewed 4 people, and you hope that the opinion of those 4 people represented the whole organization. Yeah. Now, if the organization is 5 people, you have a good 80% of them. Yeah. If the organization is 2,000 people, it's more complex. Why don't we use an avatar to engage with all the people that will be using your software? You can do that. It yields enough ROI because the avatar will be engaging, and it's also not a form they have to fill. It's an engaging conversation they're having with that avatar. Yeah, completely changes the game in terms of being able to deliver something that is really valuable to that organization, more than a black box, as we said at the beginning. Here we go, please. This is your login and password.
Absolutely.
Out, So that's a news separated from marketing,
Amazing.
but into the implementation space. And I see thousands of other similar uses.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think marketing's one part, but I think the avatars, when you think about use cases, we just did an internal survey across our whole team actually about AI adoption. And one of something like 80% of the respondents across our team said that they want to see use cases. Because these AIs are good and conceptual, but when you actually see it in the real world, and you can actually put data behind it and say, by using this AI support assistant to reach out to a few of our customers on some of the basic tasks or tickets, it increased our response rate and our engagement rate by X%. That's the kind of thing I think, as we get into this, from playing around with it to using it, we kind of need some of that data to show. To build the trust, I suppose, in people using it.
It's got to be measurable, right?
Yeah,
exactly. And you're not only taking information, you're giving value, because you're using all of the data that you already have about them, and so you can engage in a proper conversation. Yeah.
It's funny, Nicholas Holland, who was on one of our previous podcasts from HubSpot, one of the takeaways I got from him is he said, you got to think about it as we move into these times, that if you're calling up an organization and it said, would you like to speak to an AI agent right now, or would you like to wait 10 minutes and speak to a human? A lot of people are going to start to go to the AI agent, but at the bottom line, if you've got that decent CRM like we were talking about before, both of them are using the same data. It's just that one's a human and the other one's an AI assistant, but they're still going to give you the same answer in a way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you're putting, I think, the customer in the heart of choice. That's the big difference
Yeah.
in terms of AI adoption. You're not forcing a bot or, a machine on them. You're giving them the choice, and they're actively making the choice to move towards AI. I think that's the impactful.
Yeah, that's a good
takeaway there.
point, Mel, because it is. It's kind of like, give me the choice. Don't just force AI down my throat when I don't want it.
Exactly.
It's still, I think it still sounds scary, or for people that are not in the world of like us, where we're embracing AI in different formats for so long. It can sound a bit like the machines are taking over, but in reality, AI has been around for many, many years, just in different formats, kind of in the background.
Yeah.
Well, it's not taking over. The expectation is that what you were doing in 1 hour before,
Creating efficiencies.
now the expectation is to be good enough.
Yeah.
You need to put 10 hours if you work without AI. Or, again, 1 hour. So you go back to the origin,
Yeah.
but you're providing 10 times more value, which is the expectation. So the bar has changed, and you need to follow and be able to support that
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
change in
that.
expectation.
Well, that's the smarter aspect, isn't
Yeah.
it? We're really just, AI is making people smarter. It's not taking anything away. It's making you smarter and more productive if you use it correctly.
More valuable as well.
More valuable. That's right.
It's-
Which is a good point, right? Because people are thinking AI is going to make me, replaceable and all that kind of stuff. No, it's making you more valuable. If you can go to the table saying, this is what I completed last week based on data, based on the use of AI, bit of ChatGPT, whatever, I'm actually more valuable to your organization.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Number 4, SEO evolves into AEO, and we talked about this briefly on a previous show. AEO stands for Answer Engine Optimization, a whole new term. So it's interesting because we've talked about SEO for years. It's all like, oh, yeah, I've got my website, must be SEO optimized. Well, no, now it has to be AEO optimized. What's your feeling on that?
Yeah. Yes, it has to. And also, probably we push the search engine dependency too far, no? And basically, we were relying on the information the search engine was giving us. So the goal of some marketers, luckily not all of them, was I just need to land that customer on my real estate. And then everything.
Keywords. It's keywords, right?
No?
Yeah.
As soon as they land, I have all the information. Then I will target them with emails and everything. Now it's different.
Yeah.
Now you need to get engaged with them. You need to provide value when they are in your real estate, wherever they're coming from. And a customer called me the other day, and they were freaking out because they got the first lead from ChatGPT.
Yeah, we've had some leads come through ChatGPT.
Well,
as well.
I use it
It's
as a search
wild.
engine. I can't remember the last time I went onto Google and searched.
Oh, yeah.
Because you go onto ChatGPT and you search for an answer, and it uses Google, it uses whatever it can find on the internet. Like it's far more powerful because then you can ask the next question. Whereas generally with Google, you ask for a search,
And
it
then
gives
you
you a
go,
result. You don't have the ability to ask for another one on top of that one. It's a whole new search again, whole new experience again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is basically what is driving. So the lead comes from a different origin, and the information they carry with them is very different. I don't know if you experienced that.
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
limited.
Absolutely.
Where are all the information the customer was asking? And said there are not. So you better start building something that allows you, by engaging with your prospect when they are on your website, to collect those information in another way. And that plugs into Content Hub, which is one of the hubs that I like the most.
We
Oh,
love
we love that.
Content Hub. We love Content
I
Hub.
think we're sponsored by Content Hub because we talk about it all the
Oh,
time. Although
okay.
we
There we
feel
go.
we are. It is a game changer, Content Hub.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because allows that, in this age of leads coming from different sources, really allows you to not be a billboard anymore, but be really relevant and targeted.
And you've got to answer
Netflix
questions.
Experience.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to answer questions and not just keywords. You can't just kind of go fishing for customers anymore, where you're landing in the proximity of what they're asking for. You've got to be direct. And the volume, I think, of content marketers need to cut through these days. Content Hub is just phenomenal to be able to have them keep up with demand. So.
Cool. Well, HubSpot, of course, comes to the picture here. Helps you out with SEO recommendations, topic clusters, and structured content modules all beat into your platform. So number 5, revenue marketing equals lead generation. So marketers in 2025 are under more pressure than ever to prove their pipeline and own their revenue. So this is a salesy one. So great for you with all those years of experience. So how are you delivering, do you think, or how can people deliver on the fact that they need to prove their pipeline? There's none of this fictitious, I'm going to sell this $1 million job, I promise, it's coming, and then own the revenue.
Yeah, I think like I'm a huge fan. Like, so I talk about Content Hub, but the other element that I love about our platform, and then I go into like a real world, is the dashboarding and reporting. It's really easy to use for a person that is a business leader, is not an IT
Agreed.
person. No, and I was chatting with this customer of ours, the founder of this organization, and I always ask that question: why did you choose us? What made you choose HubSpot over others? No, and it's always interesting because there are different flavors to it, and it goes because it allows me to tell my own story. And I say, okay, I have to write it down because this is beautiful. But I said, tell me more about that. And he goes, because of the reporting.
Yeah.
I said, well, you could do that on spreadsheet, on Excel, no? And he goes, but you know that I have to report to the board. So as soon as they see a spreadsheet, they think that I rounded up here, rounded down there.
It's not real data in real time. Yeah.
It goes, now I build my own dashboards.
Yep.
And show the whole funnel, going back to that question, and they're linked to the CRM. So what I do is take a very ugly screenshot and paste it into a presentation just to show them that if they want to dig deeper, they go there. But I'm autonomous in telling that story. And I felt like, wow, that's very powerful. And going back to the point, nobody right now can only say, well, I did this part of the job right. Marketers, sellers, they need to take care of the whole journey.
The whole journey,
and you need
100%.
to be able to measure that. And I think like our tools in that sense are very fun.
Brings the teams together.
Yeah.
That's what we find now as well, isn't it? Across the board, like it's now no longer is it the marketing team sitting over there on the corner doing their own thing, playing their own fiddle, and the sales team doing their bit. And the old story was sales complaints to marketing that the leads weren't qualified enough. Sure. Marketing complaints to sales that we got you all those leads, you did nothing with them. And then the poor old service team then have to deliver on all the stuff that's been sold or argued about.
What did you sell?
Why did you sell it?
And then marketing says it was us. We brought the lead in first. But like what I love about dashboards is the ability to like prove marketing touchpoint influence and impact as well. So often we start the journey, you know, as a brand campaign or something with awareness, and then by the time it gets to sales like, no, it was solely us. We were the reason we sold this deal. Now we're able to prove ROI and influence and invest in the right areas.
Exactly, and fine tune as well. No, see where there is a little bit of that leak we were
Absolutely,
talking before. No, in the process, and tune that. No, now you can see that detail. Well, before it was kind of more of a blurb, no? So,
or an argument.
The leads are not qualified enough or whatever. Yes.
But the interesting thing, HubSpot comes to the party again with multi-touch revenue attribution. So doing it properly, you can track all the touch points that someone's had from a first touch point through marketing right the way through to the product that they buy, and then ultimately into delight with more products that they buy, because we want everyone to be a brand ambassador that keeps coming back. RevOps tools are in there, closed loop reporting as well. So a few things to back up that one. Number 6 on our top 7, the rise of ethical, purpose-driven brands. Now, this is an interesting one because it takes us away a little bit from technology into kind of like stuff that people care about. So it's all about the brand. How does that, for you, Mel, in terms of when you shop generally as a consumer, how important is that ethical part of your decision-making? Or do you just go to what's the cheapest on sale at the time?
I'm a mum, so it's like just whatever's going to be the quickest option, right? If I can buy you at 1 o'clock in the morning.
So you're a convenience person.
I'm probably the worst person to ask this question to. But ethical and purpose-driven brands, I think it comes down to the idea of connecting to who you're buying from. And they have to feel like me, my family, my needs. So whether it's ethical or purpose-driven, for me, it's that authenticity piece. It's the ability to have connected with me from, you know, a personalisation standpoint, or even the way you get retargeted on social media these days is really interesting. And I find myself more likely to make an impulse purchase at 1 o'clock in the morning when I'm sitting in the nursery with the baby, because they've targeted or they've touched something that I know kind of connects with me and our story. So
yeah. And you, Fabio, you got that rod and gun shirt on. What were the ethical buying reasons for that T-shirt, other than the salmon pink?
Well, that was kind of the reason there. Like, I needed something orange, and that was the closest. But I feel like I see myself more and more making my decision based on what that brand represents.
Yeah.
And making a decision not to purchase if that brand is not meeting those requirements for me.
Yeah.
And I saw that evolving in my behavior, at least in the past years, and I see that happening as well in the market. No, some brands really exploding because of what they represent. The product being, frankly speaking, very similar to hundreds in the market. No, but that brand making the difference.
Well, it comes back to your point about the point of difference, right? It's not that it's just creative now, it's also what's the ethical nature to it. Interesting enough, on our next HubSpot user group event in Melbourne, we're partnering with, I think they're kind of like a startup out of Singapore called One Seed. Now, these guys will actually, every time someone clicks the register now button to attend our event, it will trigger off a tree that's going to be planted on their behalf. But with all the technology behind it this time, it's not just say, hey, we've planted a tree for you. And you go, oh, that's nice. What does that mean? It actually gives you a page where you can zoom in and find where that tree's been planted, the environmental impact of that tree, the animals that it's going to look after, and you can track it as it grows.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I want to check that out.
Yeah.
We've got a salty zone forest that they've set
we're
up
building
for
a
us.
forest with all the attendees at our Hug event.
They've set up a forest for, they call it a forest for us, for Salted Stone. So we know all our trees are being planted together, and we can go back there on Google Maps in an overview times and
think
say
about
that
what we've just done. Like we are talking about it.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
It works. It's working.
Yeah. And it's not that
you're
hard.
so proud of it,
Yeah.
and you just shared it with me. And, that's
exactly. And then customers will probably do the same thing, right? When they click on it, they go, hey, do you know I've registered for this event and I've planted a tree? Let me show you. And then that person will see it. They might work for another organization that says, hey, let's do that. And this is how you create the brand ambassadorship, which is so important in today's market, the trust and all that.
Yes.
HubSpot's perspective, obviously there's a number of things that you can use across that. We have authentic storytelling. There's obviously things like content hubs, blog tools, all of the content stuff that we were just talking about, social posting, all of that stuff, reporting that tracks engagement and impact. Okay, so finally, number 7. Now, I've been talking about this word, at least I probably
buzzword.
7-8 years, honestly. Omni-channel. I remember I look back to some of my earlier presentations when we were with HubSpot talking about the impact of omni-channel marketing. Now it's kind of moved to AI-powered personalization everywhere. Back then it was just kind of like, you got to be everywhere. Yeah. Now you've got to be everywhere with personalized content for, I would assume, the platform and the prospect.
Yes.
Yeah?
You want me to talk about it?
Yeah, do you want to? Go on.
I would love to go. Yes. Imagine going back, being replaced by AI or being replaced by someone using AI. This is the expectation. Expectation is that the brand appears in so many different places. Yeah. Whenever you launch a campaign, you need to be on Meta, on Google, on the streets and everything.
Yeah.
How can you do that without AI supporting you and AI ensuring that actually your message is consistent? So being able to do that and leveraging tools to build that for you is very important, because it allows you to do that beginning to the end. So then you measure the outcome of each of those channels that you're using, and optimize for that.
And data, of course, goes back to what we said before. Like, if you're not then looking at, you've done the best thing you could to get it out there, but is it engaging? Is the content working? Are you A/B testing? Are you A/B/C/D testing? Are you doing all of those great things that you should be doing to make sure you're getting the maximum impact?
And also using data to create, to power the AI, right? To create personalised CTAs, personalised call to actions, leveraging data to give someone an informed campaign. We spoke about Netflix as an example. Like, Netflix knows you like action movies, so leveraging that data to be able to convert you in a better fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And HubSpot comes to the party again, yes, as you would expect, because it's in my notes, but also because we actually know, and I've got the T-shirt on. Smart content, of course, that's built throughout HubSpot, whether even for sales, like when you get into things like, the personalization of sequences, the follow-up emails. I think smart content is sprinkled throughout of HubSpot, a very important part of HubSpot. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It is everywhere. Like that's the other element that we believe in, is that AI should be available from the moment you log in and available through the whole journey. So
Yeah.
helps you create more content, create personalized content. Then helps you react, helps you prioritize in the sales journey. We haven't talked about sales much, but there is so much in AI as well in that space that really changes the game in the way you engage with your customers.
So that's a good point we touched on. So, Fabio, in your opinion, how do these trends impact the sales team?
Okay. I've been in sales 20 years, so I can say that.
Yeah. So you've seen some changes in 20 years. Yeah. You're not still doing the same things you were 20 years ago.
I started like at the level of personalization and targeting was, what's your surname? Pancaldi.
Yeah.
Okay. You target all the companies starting with P. I said, okay. And I started doing that. That was the outbound prospecting.
Right.
Which
Wow.
was pretty cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we have much more, luckily. But I feel like probably marketers have led the way in adopting AI. And sales have been a little bit behind, but I see coming in like very quickly now and in production. I tell you what we do, and then we move from there. First element, before we had company information. No, it was probably limited. Company name, if we're lucky, a little bit of information about the employees and the industry. Now with a click with Breeze AI, I get 30, 40 data points that define that company, and I can use when I start looking at, well, actually, have I been successful in doing that? I have case studies from organizations that are similar, no? All of this, one click.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Before, good luck asking your rep to update the
Yeah, they don't have time. They're too busy closing deals.
When I became a manager, I remember I was paying beers, which is wrong. You don't want drunk sales reps to update your CRM. To have my sales rep to update that CRM. It was
Did you say beers?
Yeah.
Beers, as in
Beers.
drinking beers.
Yeah.
I was
What's
bringing
wrong
them
with
the
that?
beers, no, and please update the CRM, no. Now like
It's like a carrot. There's this
exactly,
beer
exactly.
hanging there.
You want the
finish
beer,
your work.
update your CRM. This was 10 years ago.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything.
I think it would still work today, but
Yeah, I
nevertheless.
agree. Yeah. Sales team and paperwork. It still
Yeah.
feels like a dangerous
Yeah.
combination.
Maybe you need
that's
to
never
exactly,
gonna
you
give me a
don't-
beer or
That's what I was
something.
thinking.
Yeah.
Maybe some wine
It's
to make
so
sure
silly.
Tony updates
so
our
silly
CRM.
now that you think about it. It felt
Yeah.
like a great idea at the time.
No, it
but-
still feels like a great idea to me. Tony,
but,
some beers to update our CRM? What do you reckon?
Any motivation will do.
Exactly.
It is an interesting. Sorry, keep going, and I'll
No,
jump in.
but
Yep.
it's that enrichment, no, and that information. As a sales manager, as an example, when I was doing the deal reviews, I was picking the deal that with the largest amount, no,
Yeah.
because that represented the highest risk I had in my pipeline.
Yeah.
Now I have AI suggesting me which deals I should be looking at.
Better
I still
conversion.
do the coaching, but I now am able to prioritize.
Yeah.
This deal, that person has been talking with the same person in the customer side
Yeah.
for the past 5 times.
Yeah.
Probably there is a risk here, there's no multi-threading the account effectively. So this information really allow us to be more effective in our job.
And I think it leads on one step from there as well, Fabio, because it's kind of like, and we're going through this conversation right now, is we just mentioned it earlier on today about how, what have you sold? This is the service department, the support department now. Is why did you sell it? Why did you do it? So for us, it's production within an agency. And this sales to handover part now is equally as important as the sales team using all the marketing data to do it. Like it's that one journey, as you were saying before. So we're now using Otter.ai as our kind of our listening software that listens to this sales call. It then has the ability to be able to kind of analyze that in terms of what was discussed, break it down. We've created our own version of ChatGPT called Salty Brief, which then takes that
Quite a few.
Otter AI transcript, puts it into this kind of briefing thing with a couple of prompts or whatever from me, in this case as the salesman. I then hand that over, and it's detailed enough brief to the production team now so they know what was promised, what was sold, and the context, which is the bit that's often missing between it. So, it's early stages, but I think that's one of the
amazing.
friction points that happens is how do the team now deliver on what's been promised and what's been sold, and what are those expectations to continue?
Exactly, and doing it the most effective way possible instead of going down a path and then discovering that actually this wasn't what we saw.
No,
happen.
Exactly.
Fast,
Yeah. And then you get called back in again to answer to the team why.
Yeah, I'm the bridge in between sales and service, so I get that fun job. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, well, great conversation. 7 of those wrapped up. So hopefully there was something in there for you, all 7 or part of. That's really what we're here to tell you. Now, I mentioned Otter AI, which is a tool. So we ask each of our guests to dive into their toolkit and find out a particular AI tool or whatever it is. Generally, it's AI these days or some technology tool that they're using. And then share it with us so you can actually have that use case piece I was mentioning before where people want to know, well, what AI is working? What should I really care about? What could I consider? So this is our special section called The Toolkit. And welcome back to the Toolkit segment, one of our favourite segments on each of our Under the Hood episodes. So we're going to fly off with the toolkit that Fabio uses. He's dug deep into his toolkit of many tricks and AI tools, I'm sure. And what are you going to share with us today?
Well, as I said before, like Breeze AI in HubSpot, amazing. If you haven't tried it, try it. I usually integrate that with other tools, from within the organization and outside. And one that I like the most is Notebook LM by
Notebook
Google.
LM, right.
Yeah. So what makes it special is that you can upload content to inform then the suggestions you're getting. So as an example, if I'm doing an event, I upload all the information about the people attending and ask to be informed about like what I can talk about that is relevant and common.
To kind of form your speech?
My speech.
Right, okay.
I prepare my speech as a speaker.
Amazing.
But even more so, like if we're doing like organizing the outreach for a strategic account of ours.
Yeah.
We basically get all the information from Breeze, upload to Notebook LM, upload our pitches, our decks, and say, okay, how can we engage with this customer? How can we target different people within this customer with different messages? And basically, because it gets fed through the content that you provided, it is very, very relevant, very personalized. As a leader, so going like from more of a marketing use case to a sales use case, now as a leader, when I have some ideas, don't trust myself that much anymore, and I put those ideas, that deck, into Notebook LM, and I ask the simple question: what am I missing?
Right.
And it's interesting because half of the things I get probably are not relevant, but there is this one point that I always miss, and I now include it, and I take care of that. So different elements.
Is it similar to ChatGPT then in a way, or
no?
It's called Notebook. So
the main difference. There are 2 main differences.
Right.
I'm not using that. It even builds podcasts out of your content.
Right.
So
okay. So we're out of a job.
Exactly. Here we go. No, but it is more for consumption of content. Right. I use it when I have to drive.
Yep.
I upload 100 pages PDF, and instead of consuming it and having to read it, I have a 20 minutes. Engaging presentation.
Okay, yeah, great.
Amazing.
The main difference is that you feed it with your own content first, and that informs the suggestion and outcomes you're getting.
Right.
While in ChatGPT, you can provide a copy and paste. This is the content. How can I make it better? You can feed 7, 8, 10, 20 documents to educate the answer. So basically, you feed a customer brief.
Yep.
You feed like your value proposition. You feed with case studies, and then you ask, how can I engage with this customer more effectively as a seller?
Yeah.
And you get that very personalized outcome.
And is it so for it to be personalized for you? Is there a fee, like you're paying a monthly fee that creates your own?
For now, it's free.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I could pretend I'm you then and go in, hi, Fabio here.
No, like it uses your
use
Google
your IP.
account,
Yeah,
like
Google
to
account.
authenticate.
Yeah, okay.
So like, and it keeps the history.
Yeah, but free. There you go. So get on before Google gets onto it like they do and start charging for it. So quick question on the event, because we've got some events coming up. Often we run events, besides the HubSpot user group, we've got some masterclasses. So what are you putting in from the attendees? So all the attendees have given us their name, their company, and even their challenge. You could upload all of that into this platform, and it will tell you here's some speaking points you need to cover.
On top of that, probably I would upload your value proposition as an organization. Right. If you're talking about HubSpot, probably like some links to relevant content. Yep. So you can use offline content
Okay.
a PDF, a presentation, a spreadsheet, and online content, links to different sites, and say use all of that to create something that is compelling to all of these people.
Yeah.
And
Brilliant. Well, and you can use that for sales, of course. You got a sales presentation coming up, and it's a big client. You're pitching to the board. Put all those documents in and say, what are the key points that are going to engage and help them make a decision?
What are the fears of those people?
Yeah.
No? What are the potential elements that may block a decision?
Yeah.
So
and the URL for this one?
As a notebook LM.
Yep.
.google.com.
.google.com. Great. Thank you, Fabio. I like that one. Yeah. Well, I might put that in my toolkit.
Me too.
Mel, what have you got in yours?
We spoke about the rise of the B2B or individual content creator. So the tool I've pulled out today is a bit of a personal branding tool. It's called Taplio. The idea is it assists with content creation, scheduling, analytics, lead generation, specifically for you as your own branding, marketing, sales professional. I like it because it really simplifies and accelerates the LinkedIn content strategy. It offers AI-generated posts, engagement tracking, content scheduling for you as a leader or a marketing professional or a sales professional. It's designed to sort of boost your visibility whilst also crafting content that's relevant to your audience. If you're a RevOps or a business development professional or, like I've said, a sales or marketing or a CEO leader looking to build credibility or generate leads or, from an inbound strategy and trying to attract people to you or you as an ambassador of your brand. I think it's just a nice one for you to check out. It really removes much of the friction in trying to post constantly. I think when you're a professional, busy person, work always seems to take first, and LinkedIn generally sometimes sits on the shelf. So I like it because it encourages you to go out there and put conversation first content out to the world. So yeah.
And more engaging, I suppose, as well, because it is a challenge. Like folks are, I think there's this dilemma between quality and quantity. Like we mentioned before, it's kind of like, I must be on LinkedIn every day. They tell me that's best practice. But putting something that no one wants to see up there and no one's going to engage, you might as well have not bothered, right?
Yeah,
so this tool can help you.
It's sort of thought leadership at scale, but also speed to market. So I think it's really hard. We all see and we talk about things organically that's relevant to the news or your business or something that's released, but it can often be difficult to sit down and craft something that people want to hear and that's worthwhile, I guess, reading about or hearing about or watching about, depending on the piece of content you're putting out there.
Awesome. Love it. Well, my one is a kind of an advancement of one of my favorites I've spoken a few times called HeyGen. And I mentioned it before. So this is actually one for Fabio because we're going to get him started on his avatar very, very quickly, right? So if you've not played with avatar, normally you've got to load a 2-minute video in and it will create the avatar and then you go from there. We've been through that. Well, the next generation is HeyGen Avatar 4. Now, this, and I've been playing around with this for the last few weeks and terrorizing the team because Mel got a version of hers that she did particularly like. The team loved it, but it had an American voice and she sounded totally different. Others, I've tried it. But all you actually need is a photograph. Wow. So I'm going to actually send you one, Fabio. It might not have, I'll see if I can get that kind of Italian accent into the voice, but it won't be your exact voice. But basically, you take a photograph, static photographs. You can get them from your About Us page or whatever it is if you're using it for your team and you just want... Imagine like when it says meet the team, instead of just having the old boring static pictures, if you've got a static picture and you click on it and it talks to you and says, hi, I'm Fabio and blah, blah, blah. I'm glad to be part of HubSpot, whatever it might be. It adds that next dimension to it. So it is, of course, part of the heygen.com. If you go on there, you can have a test. It is zero cost, same as your Google one. Zero cost to try, and you can include out of that 3 Avatar 4 videos. So you can definitely have a play. Go in there with your picture of yourself, your cat, your mum. It doesn't have to be a human, right? The mum is obviously, but not the cat. And you can actually load it in there. You give it a script, and then you basically choose a voice from their library of voices, or if you've got one, you can upload it. And then what it will actually do is literally within 5 to 10 minutes maximum, you'll have a walking, talking picture. And it's amazing because not only does it add all the mannerisms that aren't in the photograph, actually brings some hands into it. I don't know whose hands they are, but every now and again a hand will come up and away you go. So check that one out. It really is a game changer for me if you want to keep ahead of avatars. The video content piece is the next evolution of that. So it's HeyGen Avatar 4 and you may even see Fabio pop up. in the future.
It was
Let's do that.
surprisingly
Scary, eh?
realistic.
Yes.
To be fair, it was surprisingly realistic. Voice aside, but there we go. Voice aside, but it was good. It was surprisingly realistic.
Maybe start that piece again.
Yeah, cool. It was surprisingly realistic. Voice aside, is very American, as Tony mentioned, but it was effective. It cut through. Tony needed a response from me quite quickly, and I was very busy, and he kept sending me avatars, and he got a response. So,
Not necessarily the response I wanted, though, but I got a
You
response.
get the response.
And that's
the
part of it,
important
right?
element.
Yeah, I've cut through. I've cut through all of Mel's inboxes and stuff
Yeah,
like
it
that. Anyway, just final words from each of you, just in terms of HubSpot delivering on helping marketing and sales teams adopt to any or all of these trends. Just kind of like, I suppose the questions normally is, where do I start? Like if and we'll take it probably from sales, from a sales lens and from a marketing lens. We've gone through all the trends. This is what's happening. This is what they're telling us is happening in 2025. Where would someone start if they're in sales and they're really not using a lot of AI? Maybe a bit, but not a lot. What would you suggest?
Your CRM should provide you with AI. It should be easy to start and easy to use. No, it doesn't require you to be an IT professional to start that journey, and it should be embedded in your CRM. We do that, and I feel like it's just fair to ask other CRMs to do the same.
Yep. And if they don't, HubSpot sells CRM does.
We do it.
all of HubSpot
But
does,
it has
right?
to be available. Otherwise, like, you cannot take hours out of your busy life to just set it up.
No.
It has to be there, and you start. And again, like so many venues, but like getting a better understanding of your customer is the first one.
Yeah, no, that's good. You've got to keep the lights on, especially with the sales team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they got to be selling. So how do you bring this in to make it easy to enhance marketing? What do marketers need to know to keep up with these trends?
For me, it's got to be, I know we spoke about ROI, but curiosity is something I often speak about with AI. Start by thinking about something you're curious about. Can I measure that? What are my customers really looking for here? How do I get ROI over here? There's a gap in the journey over here. Like something you're curious about that you haven't quite been able to land on. How do I get this much content out, or personalization? And just start with the singular problem. Set yourself, a runway of time, and start digging into specific AI either tools. HubSpot's launched over 200 of them that are easy and fast and focus on like that idea of unified data. So if you are a HubSpot, if you've got HubSpot within your organization, strongly recommend as a marketer digging into those tools first. If not, there's thousands and thousands of AI tools out there that can help you solve a problem that connect into, the buyer journey.
I like the way you started off by making it really easy, like to get in, and then you ended up with thousands and thousands of tools. So if you've got nothing to do for the next 20 years,
ask an AI tool; it'll give you a list of 5.
Actually, yeah, there must be. We talked about that before. Where's the AI tool that tells you what AI tools to use?
I've tried. I've had a go at asking them. I think they're all a little bit biased because if you see the answer they get back, it's.
I actually, before this episode, I thought, I'll just ask ChatGPT, like, what is the most popular AI tool that a marketer needs to use in 2025? And
Did
what does
it tell
come
you
back with?
ChatGPT?
ChatGPT is by far the
Similar though, like with humans as well.
Yeah.
No? Like, who do you think is the best player?
Yeah,
in a
exactly.
specific sport.
Yeah.
I am. Like, that's usually the response you get from soccer players, as an example.
I know. Well, that's a wrap for us here for our episode. So, firstly, a big thank you to Fabio for coming in all the way from the coast to where we are today for our studio. But thank you for coming in. Thanks for being part and sharing your insights.
Yeah, thank you for hosting us.
Yeah, pleasure. And thanks, Mel.
Thanks for having me.
We might
back.
see you again next time. We'll ask the vote. No, you'll be back.
I'll gladly tap out.
Maybe I'll be gone. Who knows? But thanks. If you have missed any of those episodes, don't forget you can dive deeper into some of those HubSpot new releases, or you can just watch a previous episode and learn some more. So you're never going to be able to not catch up on what's happening, but also, more importantly, make sure you subscribe so you can actually be there in your inbox, notified when any new release comes up, so you can stay ahead of the game and you can also retract on some of the stuff we've done. It's sortedstone.com/under-the-hood. All of the links to all of our toolkits and everything else will be in the notes section. But from me, Tony Eades, thanks for joining us for Under the Hood.